is the first time in
I'm looking at the differential.
Hold on, Mr.
I don't know if you
Chooks.
understand.
Mr. Chooks, I understand you.
Okay.
But this is the first time in 9 years in the Nigerian economy that the dollar has been steady at a certain price. Everybody is literally just waiting on CBN to know if a lot of dirty Decembers are going to happen. Why should CBN reduce rates? For a long time, for the past 6 months to 1 year, we have seen inflation come down. We have seen the Naira steady. We have seen manufacturing doing well. We have seen our stock exchange do very well. It hasn't crashed. A lot of companies want to plan for January. That's the first, second quarter. And that's massive projects. So if the rates come down, people can take loans to do for manufacturing, for projects, and for companies. If the rates at this point, when they have this meeting by the end of the day, does not come down, there are some projects that are in the works that they are just waiting for that 5% removal. If it doesn't come down, then a lot of manufacturing companies will reduce.
This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee will meet. They met yesterday and they are also meeting today with analysts split over whether the interest rate will be cut or held steady. The meeting started yesterday at the CBN headquarters in Abuja. As at last meeting, that was in September, the NPC trimmed the monetary policy rate MPR by 50 basis points to 27%, citing improvement in inflation, foreign reserve, and exchange rate stability. It marked the first rate cut of 2025. Now the inflation continuing to ease and FX liquidity improving, some analysts expect another modest cut of between 25 to 50 basis points to stimulate credits and growth. Others believe the committee will hold the rate at 27% to assess the full impact of the recent policy. This is one particular period where we will say, okay, we are seeing some progress when it comes to monetary policy. We are seeing some progress when it comes to financial dealings. We are seeing some progress when it comes to specifically stability of the Naira, unlike the fears and what we saw months and some few years down the line.
Yeah.
If we look at what's happening in CBN right now, I'm sure a whole lot of coffees are moving around and DEX systems are all clicking. Do you think we are going to leave that particular rate at 27, or do you think it's going to come down? Definitely it's not going to go up.
Well, I think that will be left to the MPC to decide whether to go up, whether to stay. Yeah, it shouldn't go up. It should either stay there or come down. While some people believe that it should come down so that SMEs and all that would have access to more capital, will expand their business, thereby creating job for people, also boosting revenue. Also, the the fintechs and all these platforms that lend money can also expand and get more borrowers to come into their business and all that. So that's why a lot of analysts are saying that this basis point should go down so that all businesses can actually thrive. Because right now, lending rate is not something favorable, especially for SMEs. Maybe for the big techs, maybe for the multinationals, they can really approach the bank and, do business. But the SMEs, and when we talk about the SMEs, the informal sector is the large part that constitutes the SMEs. And if we really want to bring them in, if we really want, what will I call it? If we want the economy to actually grow the way, because people say, oh, the economy is doing well. But if you ask an ordinary citizen, they will tell you they're not feeling it. They will tell you they're not doing this. So it's because of the SMEs. They don't really have access, to that capital they want to expand. And that's what we want. We want expansion. We want industries coming up. We want more job creation. So in order to achieve this is the reason why analysts are saying the basis points should go down.
Okay, basis points should go down. Now, we've seen this administration said we've gotten to that particular place and we are at the turning point.
Okay.
So if we, from 27 last month, now we are still at 27. This turning point we are looking at, do you see us getting better, the inflation not going up but coming down? Do you see us running down this lending rates, 27, 25, possible 20? Maybe by next year, do you see us getting to close to a single digit in the next 2 years? Is it a possibility?
All right. Right about now, the 12-man committee of the Monetary Policy Committee, they are under pressure because it is their job to actually finally decide or determine the lending rates are what is going to go on, how they can hold on to the economy, the borrowing rates, inflation, the cash flow in the economy and all that. Now, looking at statistics, what school of thoughts have argued and have said to them is 2023 was a disaster for the Nigerian economy because that was when the subsidy was removed and so the economy struggled and the inflation rate hit its high peak. 2024, there was a bit of stabilization, but there was still a lot of inflation. But of course, the government had a lot of policies when it came to manufacturing, taxation, and they were putting in money into the economy to just ease a lot of things. 2025, we started to see the result of all the government policies of 2024, and that's when inflation actually started to fall. We saw a stabilization of Naira from 1.7 to 1.5, which it has been closing and it has been steady. It hasn't hit 1.6 in over 6 months. And this is the first time
hitting 1.6 is not the issue.
Yes,
We've
no,
not seen,
it is. It is.
200 naira
It
differential
is.
in a very short time.
It actually is because this is the first time in
I'm looking at the differential.
Hold on.
I don't know if you understand.
Mr. Chooks, I understand you.
Okay.
But this is the first time in 9 years in the Nigerian economy that the dollar has been steady at a certain price. And it has not gone higher. It hasn't hit a higher in 9 years. And so that means that for inflation, it's a plus. So you must understand where we are coming from. So there are different schools of thought and financial institutions who are pushing the MPR guys that look, the Naira is steady, inflation is coming down, and we are seeing it. We are not just seeing it. Now, the good thing about the inflation is we are seeing it in market pricing. We are seeing it in Gary, 20% reduction from what it was sold last year and the beginning of the year. We are seeing it in rice as a 33% reduction. We are seeing it in petroleum thanks to Dangote. We are seeing reductions. We are not seeing increase in these things again. And so for this reason, they are sitting on
We're
the
not seeing it in
NPL.
bread yet.
Well, that's not me. And for these reductions, which is the main staple food, Gary, beans, rice, tomato, pepper, which is what the average man goes to the market to buy. People are now saying, look, if we are looking at these reductions, then the NPL should bring down the rates. Let's say 26 point something percent, because the reduction of the rates is a lot. December is coming. A lot of companies want to plan for January. That's the first, second quarter, and that's massive projects. So if the rates come down, people can take loans to do for manufacturing, for projects, and for companies. If the rates at this point, when they have this meeting by the end of the day, does not come down, there are some projects that are in the works that they are just waiting for that 5% removal. If it doesn't come down, then a lot of manufacturing companies will reduce. They're also looking at companies who want to re-employ because of a 5% or a 2%. So you may say, okay, we need 2 receptionists, but because of the cost of borrowing loans, servicing that we're already doing, we cannot employ so number. So one particular person should have to do the job of 3 people. Once the rates come down a little to commercial banks, because CBN is giving at, let's say 27, commercial banks is giving at 30. And so once the rate come down a bit, then we are now aware that, okay, we can do a little bit of employment, we can innovate, we can do a media coverage. And so everybody is literally just waiting on CBN to know if a lot of dirty Decembers are going to happen, if people are going to fly into the company, if they are going to sponsor retreats for their company. So this meeting is actually critical. Why should CBN reduce rates? For a long time, for the past 6 months to 1 year, we have seen inflation come down. We have seen the Naira steady. We have seen manufacturing doing well. We have seen our stock exchange do very well. It hasn't crashed. So I think CBN needs to reduce those rates because it's hard for the common man. At the end, it's not just the big earners and the Dangotes. It is the common man on the street because people are looking to borrow money from all these fintechs this December to run December to travel home. So if the rates do not go down, some people would not travel home. Some people will not buy Christmas dresses. So we are waiting. Yes. Yes. Some people would also not get bonuses because of MPC rates. So we are waiting critically for the NPR. No, that's reality for the man on the street.
Let's look at Nigerian companies and put them side by side with foreign companies that also operate in this particular climate. Now, for a lot of these companies, they have access to getting loans from banks in their climate, banks in their countries, and they are getting these particular facilities at rates less than 5%, for some 2%. But the Nigerian counterpart that is doing same business has to struggle to get that particular same loan at, let's say, give and take, if there is government assistance at 27%. How are they going to compete?
I think this is where microfinance banks come in and every other.
The microfinance bank is also giving them at that same rate.
Yes, because they're getting what is getting from CBN.
That's why people now resort to the money sharks or how
the money shark is even worse.
It's quite interesting how these people would want to expand their business and they can't expand their business So it's either choosing between the devil and the deep blue sea. So which one? Do you want to go to approach the bank or the microfinance, or do you want to approach Lapo or loan sharks? Which is which?
But can they compete? Looking at it, what it is now, can they compete with
They can't.
people getting loans from outside this country at well
Companies are
low
not
rates?
really expanding. Companies are downsizing. That's what is happening in life. A lot of people are downsizing. So what companies are doing now is, if one person can do 3 people's job, we don't need to hire this, we don't need to hire you. Hear people say that's why most times in some organizations, once one person leaves, they don't hire to replace, because the overhead cost it's almost killing. So, and that negates expansion, because they cannot approach the bank for loans to expand business. So they just try and micromanage. That's where some offices have to put off their ACs. Some don't even run on generators, only when they need to.
Okay.
Some are now doing what do you call it when you stay at home?
Hybrid work.
Hybrid. Some are doing hybrid. So some offices now, you work 2 days, 3 days. Even people now, even employees or people looking for a job now will tell you, okay, do I have to come all Monday to Friday and all that? Some companies now, they say, okay, let's do 2 days, let's do 3 days. One of the companies I worked in at a point, they said 2-3 days in the office, the rest at home. So they created work from home, so you can actually work. So that saves costs, that saves a whole lot of things. And that's what companies are doing now. Another thing I would have advised, but we need financial literacy, is going to the stock market. But for you to even go into that, you need to have a whole lot of what we call shock absorber in Nigeria. Because, when it's good, it's good. When it's not good, you also have to, bear the loss. So that's one of the ways that they can, think of expanding. But all in all, until we reduce this lending rate, there will not be much of a significance. Yes, it strengthens the Naira. That's all SOUQ is saying. It strengthens the Naira. Inflation has gone down. But what about the people?
What about the people? Swift, before we move to our next story.
Yeah.
In the last MPC meeting, CBN was able to do this. They tried their best to increase the liquidity in banks. They said, okay, banks, hold my money. You don't need to send it to us.
Yes.
Now, that particular
Act.
extra that the bank is having,
Yes.
do you see the bank being able to get that money into the commercial sector that really needs that money to work?
And like we said, this period, people have been more excited about banks. You have seen normally we see a lot of SMEs complain, or business owners complain that, oh, this bank is owing me money. As of 2023, 2024, we saw a lot of big businesses complain of how certain banks were just taking out monies from their account. Some people who had even sued certain banks. What's the name of this guy that makes cars? Innocent had sued a particular bank. Let's not call the name of the bank.
GTB.
And they were unable to pay. And at a stage,
Did they want to pay?
No, it wasn't just because they were mandated by court to pay.
Yeah, they
but
appealed.
at a certain stage, they appealed. They said, look, this is our interest, this is our profit. This is, if we pay this huge amount, because, we made some mistakes on this account or whatever we did, this bank may not stand. But this year, we are finding out that a lot more people are now taking loans. A lot more banks, like in quotes, the big banks, the big 4, the big 7, they are now giving out more loans now. That's what statistics is showing, because central bank's rate has been more steady.
Now,
people are more confident.
The question is, are they giving out more loans to small businesses?
Exactly.
Or they are giving out more loans to the very big business?
So let's face the realities. Realities is most banks, the big banks, the big 7, they are not there for the small businesses. Yes, they do attend to the small businesses, but they have limitations.
Now, I needed to look into that would be
because your percentage, I'm having a 10% on 10 billion, and I'm struggling with a 10% on 300,000, and it is the same energy that my loan officer is going to use to chase 10 billion that they are going to use to chase 300,000. Who is on that?
Okay, now, but on
So
their
the
deadline,
big banks,
on their
they let the
deadline,
fintechs, they let Lapo,
Okay.
just smaller people do what they have to do.
on their
Yes.
guideline, on their business CBN guideline, they are supposed to finance SME.
We agree.
And that is the best and most possible way to grow an economy.
We actually
Good.
agree.
But now we get to see that year after year, the banks are the major ones that declare profit.
Now,
Not
Yes,
SMEs.
but the challenge is sometimes if you look at the SMEs, many times it's the first 5 years of an SME life is very rocky. The bank is not your senior brother; they are not going to hold your hand through it all, and so they are looking for profit. A bank will rather put in millions into a Dangote refinery. You know, every year there's going to be a turnout. An SME, rain can fall and just flood the store, and the machines and everything you have bought with, your small 500,000 is gone, and so that means that the bank is going to now declare bad debt because
Swift,
the person cannot.
do you own a bank?
This is reality, and so we see it all the time, and so that's why we advise small SMEs. Leave banks alone. Look for government loans. Look for waivers, because this is why the Bank of Industry grants, because anything can happen. You need to grow your business to a certain point before you can put your shoulders high and say, oh, I am okay. If you take a loan, there's a possibility as an SME that for the first 3 years you will be unable to service or pay back that loan.
Okay.
But keep in mind that grant also is based on merit.
We agree, but
So it's not accessible.
But they are, yes,
everybody.
but they're actually smaller grants. I was at a tech training, and in Nigeria, they were giving almost, let's say, 100 businesses. Once you had
100 businesses.
And hold on, a drop in water is better than no drop.
Okay.
That's a reality. And so they were saying, okay, we can give this. Now, instead of a tech startup, you are going to a bank with a 37% interest rate, and you are getting a grant that you can refund at that time, or if they even see you doing well.
Most grants are not. You don't
Exactly,
refund.
you don't even need to. Once they just see that your this thing is doing well. So which one makes more sense? You, as an SME, it makes more sense for you to push towards a grant. Maybe both of you do a collaboration, 2-3 small businesses do a collaboration and get a grant. Then go to a big bank where someone is chasing you for 37%. A friend of mine just called me and she noticed that she had taken a loan about 4 years ago for her business. She's a doctor, so she started a small hospital. And she said in between her starting the hospital, she had taken a loan of about 10 million. She said she had paid back because she actually had money somewhere, although her hospital is not yet making profit. But she had managed to pay them back. Now, she wrote a letter to the bank and said, please kindly send me a letter stating that my loan is done. They didn't send that letter. They said, oh, account officer has been changed. Don't worry, madam, we know. And then she gets a huge like a funding from a particular hospital who wants to collaborate with her international hospital, and she just noticed that her account was debited about 12 million. What's going on? And the bank sends her a letter that you're owing us this amount, this is the profit. And it took her almost 3 months, she had to get a lawyer, had to go to the bank, and a lot of appeals, and then they now went through their accounts and realized. Now, she was lucky that she was able to pay back because her brothers and sisters said, oh, this is your hospital, you don't have money. Okay, so they helped. Imagine somebody who doesn't have money. Then you now get financing that you want to use to buy equipment, and the bank takes that out.
So in other words, the hospital which she established didn't make profit.
Bam!
So she paid back from saved money.
Yes.
So which means,
So at the end, imagine if she had waited, instead of starting 3 years ago, she had waited for this collaboration of funds.
but not everybody has access to 10 million just lying around. You have access to 10 million.
We will talk to Swift after the show.
I agree with
she will
you.
raise us.
It's to get hospital equipment. How much do hospital beds cost? You can't get a good bed for less than 500,000. And no matter how small a hospital is, you need at least 5 beds. You need drip stands. You need a nursing station. You need stethoscope. You need machine, oxygen machine, nebulizer. Even that 10 million she probably even had more money to add. The smallest hospital, you can't use less than the 20 million to set it up.